What if everything you think you know about Gen Z is wrong? We hear the labels all the time: lazy, entitled, phone-addicted snowflakes. But what if, behind the TikTok trends and the baffling slang, a quiet revolution is taking place? One that's changing how we work, how we handle our money, and how we take care of our minds. These aren't just youth trends. They're a blueprint for the future. The surprising beliefs of Gen Z are secretly shaping the world for all of us. And today, we're uncovering the truths that explain everything. You see them everywhere, yet they can feel like a total mystery. Generation Z, born roughly between 1997 and 2012, are the first true digital natives. They grew up in a world of non-stop connectivity, economic curveballs, and massive social change. Too often, they're painted with a broad, and frankly, unflattering brush, dismissed as the TikTok generation, supposedly defined by viral challenges and zero attention span. But that caricature completely misses the point. The reality is, Gen Z is one of the most diverse, socially conscious, and pragmatic generations we've seen in decades. They aren't just adapting to the world they inherited. They are actively rewriting the rules. Their approach to the big pillars of life, career, money, and mental health isn't a rejection of tradition. It's a strategic evolution, born from watching what did and didn't work for the rest of us, and a desire for a better, more sustainable way to live. So, let's dismantle the stereotypes, look past the headlines, and explore the 3 biggest myths about Gen Z and the surprising realities hiding underneath. Myth number 1. They're lazy and don't want to work. The number one accusation thrown at Gen Z is that they're lazy and allergic to hard work. Managers complain they lack a strong work ethic, get offended too easily, and act entitled. We see trends like quiet quitting and take it as proof that this generation just wants to do the bare minimum. The story goes that they aren't willing to pay their dues like the generations before them. But this completely misunderstands what actually drives them. The truth isn't that Gen Z is lazy. It's that they refuse to participate in a work culture they see as broken. They watched millennials, their older siblings and cousins, dive into the workforce with bright-eyed optimism, only to get crushed by historic student debt and relentless burnout in the name of hustle culture. Gen Z took notes. They concluded that the old deal, trading unwavering loyalty for long-term security at one company, is officially dead, and they aren't willing to sacrifice their well-being for a promise that might not be kept. For them, a job is a part of their identity, not the whole thing. A 2025 survey found that an overwhelming 89% of Gen Zers see a sense of purpose as crucial for their job satisfaction. They are far more likely to turn down or leave a job if its values don't align with their own, especially on issues like social justice and environmental impact. This generation redefines work ethic to be about working smarter, not just harder. They value efficiency, flexibility, and real results over just clocking hours in an office. That's why a stunning 72% of Gen Z employees have either left or considered leaving a job because it didn't offer a flexible work policy. And that quiet quitting, for many, it's not about slacking off. It's about setting healthy boundaries in a world that's always on. It's about doing the job they were hired to do and saving their energy for their life outside of work, a life that often includes a side hustle. With about half of them wanting to start their own business, it's clear they aren't afraid of hard work. They just demand that the work be on their own terms. They aren't lazy. They're the architects of a new, more balanced professional life. Myth number 2. They're reckless with money. The second big myth, that Gen Z is financially irresponsible. The stereotype paints them as splurging on fast fashion trends and pricey coffees, living for today with no thought for tomorrow. They're seen as consumers driven by influencers, not sound financial sense. And with the rise of buy now, pay later services, it's easy to see why that idea stuck. But the data shows the opposite. Gen Z is shaping up to be one of the most financially cautious generations we've seen. Their childhoods were shaped by the 2008 financial crash's impact on their families, and they entered the workforce during the economic chaos of the COVID-19 pandemic. They've seen how fragile financial security can be, and it's made them deeply pragmatic. In fact, the high cost of living is their single greatest concern. So forget the frivolous spending stereotype. Gen Z is a generation of savers and investors. A 2025 study found that 72% of Gen Z took active steps to improve their finances in the last year, like increasing savings or paying down debt. They're using technology not just for TikTok, but for financial literacy, learning about budgeting from YouTube and Reddit, and using apps to automate their savings. They also have a deep-seated fear of debt, with many looking for ways to build a career that don't involve massive student loans. This isn't to say it's easy. Many feel financially insecure and live paycheck to paycheck because of soaring costs. But their response isn't recklessness, it's resourcefulness. They embrace trends like loud budgeting and no-buy challenges to take back control. They aren't financially frivolous. They're financial survivors, using every tool they can find to build security in an insecure world. Myth number 3. They're the Snowflake generation. Perhaps the most damaging myth is that Gen Z is overly sensitive, fragile, or weak. They're often mocked as the Snowflake generation, supposedly unable to handle criticism and too eager to talk about their feelings. Their high rates of reported anxiety and depression are often twisted into a sign of weakness, a failure to cope with the normal pressures of life. But Gen Z isn't more fragile. They're more honest. They are courageously destigmatizing mental health for all of us. Their willingness to speak openly about anxiety, depression, and burnout isn't a weakness, but a radical act of self-awareness and collective care. For decades, other generations were taught to bottle up their struggles and tough it out in silence. Gen Z is breaking that toxic cycle. They see mental health as just as important as physical health. The statistics might seem shocking, but they tell a story of awareness, not weakness. Nearly half of Gen Z, 46%, has been diagnosed with a mental health condition, with anxiety and depression being the most common. But here's the crucial part. They're actually doing something about it. Studies show that Gen Z is far more likely to seek professional help than any generation before them. With over 40% reporting they go to therapy. They are actively creating a culture where it's okay to not be okay, and, more importantly, where it's okay to ask for help. This shift is a direct response to the unique pressures they've faced. Growing up under the constant, curated lens of social media is a known source of anxiety. They are also navigating a future filled with economic instability and global crises. Their honesty isn't fragility. It's a rational response to an overwhelming world. By championing mental health, Gen Z is making our workplaces and societies safer for everyone. They are the generation demanding that employers provide mental health support, fostering a culture of empathy that will benefit us all. They aren't the Snowflake generation. They're the self-aware generation. So, is Gen Z lazy, reckless, and fragile? Not even close. They are strategic, pragmatic, and self-aware. They aren't rejecting the world. They are demanding a better one. They are swapping toxic hustle culture for a sustainable work-life balance. They're replacing financial carelessness with tech-savvy planning, and they're shattering the stigma of mental health, replacing silence with life-saving honesty. These aren't just fads. This is a fundamental shift in values that is already changing society. The so-called TikTok generation is proving to be far more than a collection of memes. They are the architects of the future of work, finance, and well-being. And whether you're a millennial, a Gen Xer, or a boomer, understanding them isn't optional anymore. It's essential for navigating the world we all share. Do you agree with this take on Gen Z, or do you see things differently? We want to hear from every generation. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video helped you understand the world a little better, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights that explain our changing culture.